So today we are going to read on this topic, point A, B, C, and D, the feeder factories of samskaras. So, why we are reading this is, I was watching this Rings of Fire on Amazon Prime. I don't know how many of you are aware that they started this series. It's based on Tolkien's, J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Fire. In that, there is, I'm assuming this guy is Gandalf, is a wizard. He says, what we left behind is the heaviest burden we carry. What we left behind is the heaviest burden we carry. It's true. I mean, even in our present life, suppose what are my memories of life? I only remember the things which have troubled me. Seldom we think of the things which brought happiness to us. So even though it is past, it is left, it is no longer active in my life, still I carry the burden of it. Now imagine these samskaras, the impressions which we are carrying from many lives. You know how much burden they should be adding and how much burden they become on our life. Not only the burden, here it's a burden is not the problem when it comes to spirituality. It stalls our spiritual progress. That's why there is so much importance given to this process of cleaning in our spiritual practice. All of it cannot be cleaned once at one go because it requires enormous force. So it happens over a period of time or a period of practice in heartfulness. So that's why the regular practice and regular cleaning is very essential for our spiritual growth. So after this topic, we read in spiritual anatomy book, I want to cover the detox techniques. So next week we'll be focusing on the detox techniques. But here right now, let's understand how this whole process happens, right? So if you look at around the first point, if you see, this is our first point. In the first point, we have upper and lower regions. And then Daji gave a very good way to measure it. So from where this ribs join, this point, go one finger down, four fingers to the left is the B point, two fingers above is the A point, two fingers down is the C point, and two fingers to the further left is D point, and then one becomes the center point, and this becomes point 3. So this is one way to measure it. And today I want to kind of demonstrate to you without measuring, we can actually feel these points. So we'll get to that exercise before our meditation, but right now, let's read and understand. Point A is a meditative point. This is point A. So directly connecting to the source and intentions at point A manifest in life. So our intentions at point A manifest in our life. So we also do practice this point A meditation before our bedtime prayer, and then go practice point A, and we'll go through the method of how to practice point A meditation. And point B cleaning. Point B is a cleansing point here. So whenever we react to the attraction towards the opposite sex, vibrations from point C ripple to point B, rousing a feeling of passion. Cleansing point B, that you are becoming devoid of all sensual things, brings about personal transformation. So here again, a lot of people wonder, like, should I, get rid of all the sensual passions? The sensual passions is not just one thing, it's many things. And the idea is pretty much, if you see the animal life, animal life is all about feed itself. I mean, there is in feeding also there is sensuality, right? You like the taste, you want the, especially, animals eat it with a vigorous passion. Like they say, in Florida, there are two times you should not go near this alligators, during their mating time or during their feeding time. They become very aggressive, they become very focused, right? Same thing with the humans. Most of the human, uh, what do you call, should I say, the indulgence into the sensual pleasures, whether it is, you know, watching something pleasing to you, whether it is eating, whether it is, so it's all somewhere that animal tendency of pleasure orientedness is always there. So that takes a lot of time and energy, and also it creates more and more impressions. So that's why cleaning point B is very essential in our practice, to really get rid of all that we have accumulated during the day before they settle down to other points. So point B cleaning, we do it right before our morning meditation for 10 minutes. So that all the impressions we gathered as a part of our sensual apparatus, those impressions can be removed. When they are removed, it creates a enormous relaxation in the entire system. You try it, you will know by yourself. So the entry point for vibration is the C. So C point here, if you see, all our worldly interactions come from C point. So this becomes an entry point for all the impressions from external into the internal system. So when we react something with likes and dislikes, specific vibrations emerge at point C and ripple to point B. So constant remembrance helps point C to remain in prayerful state during the day. So I see a question on chat. Yes, so it's about this point 3. If you see, like, some of the Daji's lectures, so it's basically, if you see here, if this starts from point 1 and this is 2, sorry, this is 2 and this is 3 and 4.
Brother, brother,
Yeah.
I think that maybe point three is actually the nipple, I think. It is not the point three.
This one is not point 3.
I think it is nipple.
Okay. I see your point, right? Okay. I mean, there is another measurement from the nipple for identifying these points. Now I kind of recall. Thanks for correcting it. So, okay. Yeah, where are we? So the on the entry point for vibration. So all the impressions come through. So remaining prayer, constant remembrance is the only way to avoid these impressions from coming in. So constant remembrance becomes the most effective process to reduce the intake of the samskaras. And also, like we were discussing in our last session, constant remembrance will not allow the existing impressions not to sprout and manifest, become big. So in a way, we avoid the effect of which the impressions which we already accumulated. So that is the effect of constant remembrance. And then the point of guilt. When we ignore our conscience, guilt forms at point D. So the effect of guilt is extreme heaviness in the system. And what is the way to overcome this guilt is the practice we do before bedtime, ask for forgiveness for all the wrongs done, knowingly, unknowingly, doesn't matter. And we beg for forgiveness from the Lord and then go into the prayer and then sleep. So that's how we kind of work with this guilt which we have accumulated. Guilt is always not because we have done something wrong. And the biggest guilt is we always feel for something which we have not done. Suppose if you kind of go into elderly people, old people, they seem to be bragging about the things which they have done in the past, mostly. The reason they do it is it's basically it's a what you should say compensation mechanism. We try to compensate for what we could have done and we have not done. So that always creates a lot of guilt. What we are supposed to do and we did not do it. And that is what we think about the most if I look at the past. That's why, even though we left behind the past is left behind, we carry the burden of the past. All right, so let's get into the reading. So John Snow was a physician and epidemiologist in mid-19th century London, where cholera outbreaks were common occurrence and thousands of people died from this disease every year. At the time, the policy was to drain swamps and spray disinfectants in the air because it was thought that was airborne. But Snow was skeptical of this theory and he began pointing out the locations of cholera cases in a London map. Through his investigation, he identified a cluster of cases around water pump in a neighborhood. Snow convinced the local authorities to remove the handle of the pump, effectively cutting the source of contaminated water. The outbreak subsided, and John Snow's theory that cholera was waterborne was later proven. Sorry, this keeps jumping. Was later proven by the scientist also. So last chapter, the samskaras block the chakras. We clear the chakras, we clear the samskaras, and that enables us to progress. But what creates samskaras in the first place? The points A, B, C, D are the root cause for triggering formation of samskaras. With these points, when these points are disturbed, they affect the other chakras, triggering the samskara formation that destabilizing us. So the points play a foundational role in triggering the formation of samskaras. The knowledge shared here will help you in understanding the finer details of how they form and their impact in our journey. Point C is the epicenter. Try this the next time you are in a public place, such as a restaurant, a crowded street, or an airplane. Watch your thoughts as you observe the people around you. You will notice a stream of likes and dislikes flowing through our mind about their appearance, their clothing, their carry-ons, and how they talk, and even how they store their luggage. The stream of consciousness is often seasoned with judgment based on personal preference. Pay attention, and you may even feel a mild pressure in your chest when you have particularly strong reactions. The pressure will be felt at the location of point C. So this is one way to identify point C. Think of something you really despise, don't like, or think of something you like, and you focus in this area, point one area. You can see where you feel the extreme pressure or vibrations, that's point C. You can actually locate it. We can try it today. So point C is a strategic point in the spiritual anatomy. Whenever we react to something with feelings of like or dislike, these vibrations start from point C. If your reactions are mild, the vibrations are not strong enough to form samskaras. But if your reactions are strong, then samskaras affect the point and the chakra too. This does not mean we shun all personal preferences. It's in our nature to have personal preferences. What we read, eat, wear, and think are driven by our personal preferences. I prefer Gujarati food, while you may prefer Italian cuisine. But if we can avoid insisting on things or becoming obstinate and demanding, we then we protect point C from getting disturbed and prevent the formation of more samskaras. So the practice of constant remembrance is how we temper our dislikes and likes by extension of our samskaras. So constant remembrance is the practice of uh, staying connected to the positive inner conditions create through meditation and allow them to grow. So since we are talking about constant remembrance here, how do we develop? So what is constant remembrance? So let's try to define that. And with that, we'll end this reading. What is constant remembrance? Anyone wants to answer? Okay. So the meditative state which is created, let's say in our morning meditation, we hold on to that condition, that shift in consciousness, the deep meditation we have. Try to connect to that state. When you connect to that state, it automatically creates that meditative state without having to meditate throughout the day. The longer you carry that state throughout the day and you attend to all your worldly dealings from that state is called constant remembrance. Constant remembrance is not like, I remember somebody, I remember something. And most of the mothers know, when their children go out, play in the park, or, when they go to school, in the back of their mind, the kids were always there. The mother is thinking, are they, safe? Are they doing good? Are they, able to deal with the outside world, when they're at the school? All these things. Constantly, the mother is sort of mentally watching them. So when there is interest, when we own something, the constant remembrance is an automatic process. So first thing which is required for constant remembrance is interest. Second thing is recognizing the value of that condition which is given to us in our meditation. It is the most precious thing we can have. So once you recognize the value and once we develop interest in it, sort of constant remembrance is an automatic process. We don't have to put any effort for constant remembrance. And Babaji kind of said, you practice constant remembrance for a week, and that's it. That it becomes your natural thing for your life. Okay. So how do we do it? So this requires one important thing we have to do. After meditation, when we think our meditation is done, don't open your eyes and get into, start looking at your phone or whatever, whatever you want to do after meditation. Don't immediately get up and get into your activities. Give about 5 minutes after your meditation. Sort of recollect how your meditation went. The deep condition you felt, connect with that condition. So you basically imbibe, you become one with that condition. And then if you are writing your journal regularly, put that feeling in your journal. Then you kind of connect with that condition as and when your mind is becoming free. So that way we develop constant remembrance. And slowly work through that condition, to attend to all your duties through that condition. Then, slowly it almost becomes your second nature. You don't have to put any effort, but try this for 1 week. And then you don't have to put any effort for constant remembrance. So when we are in constant remembrance, when we are connected to this subtle, deeper, positive condition of meditation, what happens is like you avoid most of these strong reactions to the life, to the world. Then you form less and less impressions in your life. And not only that, you will see with the utmost wisdom, you attend to all your duties, with all your dealings. Your dealings becomes very harmonious. See, the outside world is only reacting to what we are inside. The more harmony we create within, the more harmony you find it outside. And the more harmony you find it outside, the less impressions you gather in your life. So the less impressions you start gathering, then the cleaning become effective because now you have enough opportunity to clean the past impressions. Otherwise, We are only cleaning the impressions which we have accumulated during the day. So this is how constant remembrance helps. And not only that, as the more and more constant remembrance develops, we develop the capacity to absorb transmission. Right now, the transmission is continuously given to us, but we are not taking it. The reason because we are engaged somewhere else. So constant remembrance brings that harmony and balance in our lives. So it is the most important thing to practice. And how do you practice? Again, 5 minutes give to yourself after meditation. Observe, understand that condition, connect with it, and carry it. That's how we develop constant remembrance. So I'll stop here for any questions. Okay. So I'll tell you how to identify these points. You can try it today or tomorrow whenever you are free sometime. So you just simply focus in this area, in the chest area, around point 1. You will see, when you focus, you will see a slightly a pressure or pinching kind of a feeling on one point, and note that as point B. Point B is the easiest thing to identify. So the first thing you identify when you focus in this area, you will see that slight pinching sensation. That's point B. And then come little below, and then think of something you don't like, or think of somebody you don't like. Then you will see certain pressure on some point, that is point C. And then come to point A, focus slightly there. You will see a small dot. You feel it. That's point A. You try it, and you try it before your evening cleaning. If you do cleaning or you do point B cleaning, especially when you after a sitting, it's very difficult to feel point B, because that cleaning is done, you don't feel that pressure at that point. So do it before you're cleaning. You can identify point B yourself without measuring it. Okay. So I'll stop here. Any questions? Otherwise, we can get into meditation.
Brother, if I may, I would like to share, take 2 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Ah, beautifully explained about the constant remembrance and in terms of meditative state. And I remember Daji explaining this, why this meditative state that newly acquired in our meditation, each meditation is so precious and hold on to, and how it is helpful for us. Um, like not to form any samskaras as long as we are immersed in that or try to hold on to that condition.
Yes.
In terms of consciousness, our awareness, day-to-day activity, it is all done with our available consciousness, right? And then there is a subconscious and super consciousness. In terms of that super consciousness thing is that we are living our life in terms of like mostly that consciousness available to us, and each meditation helps us to step into a, a stretch our consciousness. Like after that, the meditation, the meditative state that was given to us in that meditation is kind of we can step into that um, new consciousness where it is just born given to us, that is devoid of any impressions, and it is freshly given to us. So it is also devoid of all our burden of subconscious also. So that is a kind of like a consciousness state which is very temporary if we are not able to grow it or own it. So that state is like we are practically as if that our soul just got from our source. So that state when we can be devoid of all past samskaras and impressions. That's my understanding when Daji gave this in
Okay.
his
So
talks.
that's good thing you brought it up. So I'll try to remember that, and then I'll explain why this new consciousness is said as with devoid of all samskaras. We'll talk, from some technical aspects of the statements you made.
I
Right?
really
We'll
want to
discuss
know
it.
your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Sure. So since we are like almost at 8 past 6 minutes, so let's get into meditation. I will stop the